The Xenotechnology Lab, aboard the International Space Station Harmony, was the pride of Earth's scientific community, the first truly collaborative research center involving both human and extraterrestrial scientists. Dr. Elena Reyes had spent the last 5 years of her career developing neural interface technology specifically designed to bridge the gap between different sentient species' cognition patterns. Today, she was explaining her latest breakthrough to Thalia, a young Meridian researcher who had traveled 18 light-years from her homeworld to participate in the exchange program. Meridians resembled humans in basic body structure, bipedal, 2 arms, 1 head, but the similarities ended there. Their skin had a slight luminescence that shifted colors with their emotional state, currently a curious yellow-green. Instead of hair, delicate tendrils that served as supplementary sensory organs framed Thalia's face, gently undulating as she processed new information. Most significantly, Meridians had evolved from a symbiotic species, retaining certain biological capabilities that humans found both fascinating and slightly unsettling. So, Elena continued, gesturing toward the delicate crown of electrodes and quantum sensors on the workbench. The neural interface creates a temporary connection between 2 nervous systems, allowing for direct sharing of sensory data and emotional states. Thalia's head tilted slightly, her large pupil, less eyes blinking vertically. A gesture Elena had learned indicated confusion. "I understand the technology conceptually," Thalia said, her voice musical and precisely modulated. "But your earlier statement is causing me cultural confusion." "Which statement?" Elena asked, mentally reviewing their conversation. "You said, when we test the interface, I'll be inside you, experiencing what you experience." Thalia's skin rippled with patches of puzzled blue. "What exactly do you mean by saying you'll be inside me? Is this some form of physical integration I don't understand?" Elena laughed softly, then immediately composed herself, remembering that Meridians might interpret human laughter as a sign of dismissal rather than friendly amusement. "I apologize for the confusing phrasing," she said warmly. "It's a figure of speech, somewhat imprecise language that doesn't translate well across cultures. I meant that my consciousness, my awareness would receive sensory input from your nervous system." Thalia's tendrils waved in a pattern that Elena recognized as increased interest. "But you would remain physically separate. Your consciousness wouldn't actually transfer into my body?" "Exactly," Elena confirmed. "The interface only transmits data, sensations, perceptions, emotions. My consciousness stays in my brain, but I receive neural information from your sensory organs." "How curious," Thalia mused, her skin shifting to a thoughtful shade of violet. "For Meridians, the phrase being inside someone has a very literal meaning because of our evolutionary history." Elena leaned forward, genuinely intrigued. This was exactly the kind of cultural exchange the program was designed to facilitate. "Please explain." "My species evolved from a symbiotic relationship between 2 distinct organisms," Thalia explained, her tendrils rippling gracefully. "Our distant ancestors were actually 2 separate species, a host organism similar to our current form, and a neural symbiont that enhanced cognitive function. Over millions of years, we evolved into a single integrated species, but we retained the ability to temporarily share our secondary nervous system with others." She touched the back of her neck, where Elena knew Meridians had a specialized organ called a synapse node. "When Meridians need to share critical information or assist with healing, we can physically extend a portion of our neural network into another Meridian through this connection point, temporarily becoming a passenger within their body." Elena's eyes widened. "That's remarkable. So when I used that expression, I thought you were proposing something similar to our neural sharing," Thalia confirmed, her skin flushing a slightly embarrassed pink. "I was confused because human physiology lacks the biological structures for such a connection." And I was using an imprecise metaphor, without realizing it might have a more literal interpretation in your culture, Elena concluded. This is exactly why direct translation isn't enough for true interspecies communication. Thalia's skin shifted to a warm orange, indicating amusement in meridian emotional displays. It seems your interface technology is attempting to create through science what my species developed through evolution. That's a fascinating perspective, Elena said, picking up the neural interface crown. Technology often mimics biological solutions. Your people developed biological neural sharing. We're trying to recreate that capability artificially. Thalia's tendrils waved in what Elena had learned was their equivalent of a nod. So your interface doesn't actually put your consciousness inside me, as a meridian would understand it. No, Elena confirmed. It's more like setting up a live video stream from your senses to my brain. I receive the information, but I don't control or directly interact with your body. That makes much more sense within human physiological constraints, Thalia said, her coloration returning to a neutral blue-green. Though I admit, for a moment I was quite concerned about how humans might have evolved without my species noticing such a significant capability. They both laughed, then Elena with her human chuckle and Thalia with the melodic trilling that served as meridian laughter. This is why these conversations are so valuable, Elena said, carefully placing the interface back on its stand. Language is full of assumptions based on our biology and culture. Indeed, Thalia agreed, her tendrils swaying gently. Though now I'm curious, would you like to experience actual meridian neural sharing? With your permission, I could demonstrate our biological version of being inside you. Elena felt a momentary flutter of nervousness, then reminded herself that she had come to this station precisely for such opportunities. I'd be honored, though I'm not sure if human physiology is compatible. We've developed adaptations for cross-species sharing, Thalia explained. It was necessary when we first began exploring beyond our solar system. The experience is quite enlightening, allowing a true glimpse into another's perspective. Elena nodded, her scientific curiosity overcoming any hesitation. In that case, yes, it would be an incredible opportunity to compare your natural abilities with our technological approximation. Thalia's skin glowed with a warm, welcoming gold. Wonderful! I'll arrange for the medical supervision required for first-time interspecies sharing. Her expression became what Elena had learned was the meridian equivalent of a smile. And I promise, the experience is much less confusing than our linguistic misunderstandings might suggest. As they left the lab together, Elena reflected that this was the essence of the Harmony Station's mission, moving beyond mere translation to true understanding, one cultural confusion at a time.